Imagine first year in real estate in 10 months closing 16 deals. That's what we're going to learn about today. Top success stories and also her top one or two mistakes. Hey everybody, Mike Ferrante here, Mike team. We are real estate agents serving Greater Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, all the way down to Central Ohio, Columbus, and heck, we're spreading down to Cincinnati soon, Toledo, Youngstown. Look out, everybody, because we're going to take over the state of Ohio. But anyway, if you have a real estate need, hit me up, 21mike.com. Click that button at the top to schedule an appointment with me or someone on the team. And if you have real estate needs, you can also email me directly. That's right. I'm about to give you my personal email address. So all you spammers out there, don't write this down. But everybody else, write down Mike at 21mike.com. That's how you can get a hold of me. Now, as I alluded in the opener, we've got a teammate with us, and I really wanted to have her on because her success story is pretty amazing. She, in her first year of real estate with the team, has already closed 16, and it might be more. I'm going to ask her that question here in a second. 16 deals last time we checked in about 10 months, and is just really killing it this year. And so we're going to ask her what things she did to make her so successful. And we're also going to ask her to be vulnerable a little bit and tell us what couple mistakes she made, maybe things she would do differently. So can we have a round of applause for Jordan Yates? Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone's having a wonderful week so far. My name is Jordan Yates. I'm not from Canton. I live in Canton, Ohio. I'm originally from Geneva. I went to Madison High School, if there's anyone out there that may be from around there. Um, but I came to Canton because I originally went to the University of Akron for about a year or two. My first year was COVID year, so it was very, very, very different. Um, I've kind of always worked in the restaurant industry. I worked in restaurants through high school, and that was just kind of how I made money, and it was an easy job. And then I knew I would continue that through college. It's super, super flexible schedule, so great for stuff like that.
So Jordan, everyone looking at you is like, my God, she looks so young. How could she already be a real estate agent? How old are you?
I am 23. I'll be 24 in February.
Okay. And so you're in the restaurant industry. What made you decide to get your real estate license?
So I dropped out of college and went full-fledged in the restaurant. I was a manager, which was a lot of responsibility at this age. And it kind of just showed me I don't really want to do this forever. It's very straining on you.
But you were doing well, right? I mean, you worked. I mean, you were a bartender. I'm sure you waited tables, and then they made you
Oh
a
yeah.
manager. So you were already very successful in that industry, right?
Yeah, I was super, super good at it. I loved doing it. Even to this day, I can still say I love doing it. I miss it every once in a while. But I wanted something more. I didn't want to work late hours. I wanted time with my family, and I'm glad that I learned that now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
so
one
if Yeah, I was going to say, so, that's one of the potential myths about real estate too, is that, oh, my time is my own, I make my own schedule. So actually talk about that for a second. Like, what's the difference between your time is your own? Let me get both air quotes in there. Your time is your own versus like the realities of what it's like to be in real estate.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like, I definitely knew going into it, it wasn't going to be just all easy and fun and daisies, but you're creating your business. So you have to be ready to answer the phone at all hours of the day. You're working Monday through Sunday, and you have to be ready for that. There's even times you're out at dinner with your family and you get a phone call, and that phone call can be a make or break it deal. So it's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort, and especially at the beginning. I think the beginning is the most crucial for really, really digging in and putting all of your time into it because you have to meet people, you have to get out there.
Yeah, we talked, I think it was last week with Mike Pillow, who's on the call today, and talked about the difference from someone imposing a structure on you to having to build your own structure. So obviously, I'm guessing that you did that really well. That's probably one of your successes because of so. But go ahead and talk about that. Let's hear about, how did you go from having a structure thrust upon you to saying, okay, now it's my own business. How did you handle that?
I think at the beginning that was actually one of my downfalls, was not realizing that I had to make a schedule sooner. I think along with a lot of people, I did have that misconception of like, this is my own business. I'm gonna have free time. I'm gonna have time to do what I want to do, and that's not the reality of it because you in a I don't want to say real job, but in like an office job or a structured job, you're given a schedule every day. You
Right.
have someone sometimes micromanaging you and making sure you're doing everything the way you should be doing. And you don't have that accountability as a realtor. So
Yeah.
that's actually, I would say, like I said at the beginning, one of my downfalls because I didn't get a schedule and build my own business at the beginning. I kind of just threw myself into it.
Yeah, you just and you did what a lot of agents do, I think. They just try to do as many activities as they can, hoping that some of it will stick. So let's come back to that for a second. Let's hear about the successes first. So how the heck did you do it? What would you attribute the early success that you had? So many deals, and is it still 16, or do we have another closing since we talked?
So I think it's actually 19 now.
19. Okay, in like 10, 11 months.
September CTE, there were 19 on there. So,
Okay.
some of my successes, I definitely think just you're never going to be ready. You are never going to be ready. So you truly just have to call people. You have to talk to people. You have to get out there. And I think that that's something that the restaurant almost made me ready for was just because you're going to deal with different people every single day. If it doesn't go good, it doesn't go good. Move on to the next because the next one could go good. So definitely just getting out there and talking to people was something that set me up for success. I've had a lot of closings from my old restaurant employees. I think two or three have just been from the restaurant industry. And then a lot of them have also been from friends. I know being young can be a little bit of a downfall, but a lot of my friends are in their prime years for buying houses or even just moving into a rental. Rentals are extremely important. I think that that's a good way to grow your business, especially at the beginning. Um, and those rental people will eventually turn into buyers. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
those buyers turn into sellers.
Right. Well, we were just at Summit, and that's what the guy from Realtor.com said. He said the one of the biggest segments that's overlooked right now for real estate agents is renters, because renters can become buyers, and maybe they rent for a year, and then next thing you know, they're buyers. So that's one way to build your database. And I don't want to paint the wrong picture here. You didn't work with a ton of renters, but you
Yeah.
also didn't turn them away. So you said something, just being willing to go out and have conversations. And when we do business plans, we talk about how many conversations per day, per week, per month are you going to have, and you certainly embraced that concept. One of the great stories that you have, and I'm going to let you tell this story, but you were willing to go out there and have the number of conversations you needed to have, whether it's through the part-time job that you're working simultaneously with real estate, or whether it's just contacting your sphere. And Jordan, you wouldn't believe the pushback I get from people. Well, I don't have a sphere. I don't know anybody. Yes, you do. Everybody knows somebody, and that's a great place to start. But you know the story I'm talking about. So you're still working the job, and there's a situation at the restaurant. Go ahead and tell the story, because this epitomizes who you are and your willingness to have conversations with people.
So I was working at Barrio at the time, right in downtown Kent. And it was like a super, super busy day. I was actually on my way out, getting ready to leave. But the bar was, they were struggling. It was on a struggle bus. So I was like, I'm not going to leave right now. I go up, I start talking to people. There was one guy at the bar and he didn't look happy. So I was like, hey, like, is there anything I can do for you? And he was like, yeah, I need you to make me a drink. So I made him a drink.
And
And
and you weren't even bartending, right? You were not working behind the bar that night.
I was serving this day.
Right.
And I made him a drink, and then he asked me, he was like, "Are you here often?" I was like, "No, unfortunately, I'm only here one day a week. I'm a realtor." And he was like, "Oh my God, please sell my house for me." And I was like, "Really?" We sat there, had a quick listing appointment on the spot. I know everything about his life. And we haven't sold yet because he's in the process of liquidating some stuff, but that was in May, and I've been talking with him ever since. We talk once a week, and eventually he will be selling his house with me. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing. When we do a business plan, we talk about number of conversations leads to a number of appointments, and a certain number of those appointments will convert. So it's just that willingness to go out there and have conversations. So I would agree that's probably your number one reason for success is your willingness to put yourself out there and have conversations. Other people listening are probably saying, okay, well, I'm willing to talk to people. Jordan, what else did you do that made you so successful in just 10, 11 months?
So I've really, really dove into social media. I think that that's it's something that we have right at our fingertips that we can reach hundreds of people at once. And I think it's a really, really good resource for us to have. I've just really taken on filming videos. Whenever I have a showing, I'll reach out to the listing agent and I ask them, hey, is it okay if I take a quick video tour for your property? I have gotten no's, but I've gotten a lot of yeses. And you never know unless you ask. You're already going to be at the property. Take the extra 5 minutes, do a quick video tour, and then come home. It takes me 5 minutes to edit these, and then I post them on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I post them on my LinkedIn, pretty much every social media I have. And I've also gotten a few, they haven't converted quite yet. There are a lot of renters. I've gotten a few leads on TikTok from that. So that's something really, really small. I think that it'd be cool to talk in another year and see where those leads get then. But I've really, really embraced social media.
Yeah, social media, that's that one to many concept. So, you do a video and dozens or hundreds of people see it as opposed to trying to do all those one-on-one conversations. But Jordan, what would you say? I hear this a lot. Agents say, yeah, but Mike, when I do a video, I only seem to get like 10, 20, 30 views and a couple likes and a couple comments. What's the point of doing that? That's not valuable, is it?
So, when it comes to social media, you have to pay attention to the trends, and you try different things. You see what's going to do better and what's going to do worse. I have tons and tons of videos that sit at like 200 to 300 views, but then I did an Akron home tour and I have 25,000 views on that one. So that's something since the Akron home tour did good, I'm gonna go do more Akron home tours.
Right.
And that's what people want to see. And I will say, when videos go viral, you will get some negativity, but when it comes to views and stuff like that, all attention is attention.
That's right.
Getting your views up there, which means more people will see it.
Yeah, yeah. And to the agent who says, "Oh, I only got 30 views on that video," I say, "Great. That's 30 views. How long would it have taken you to talk to 30 people?" And you did that with one piece of content. Now, I know you are pretty good about posting non-real estate content as well. Tell me, what's the value of that? Why do you do it? And like, what's your rule of thumb for like non-real estate to real estate content?
So people want you to be relatable. You might not be relatable to everyone, but that's why you can mix it up. I do days of my life. I post my concert stuff. I post cooking stuff because if you're constantly pushing out real estate stuff, people are going to get bored of that. And it also seems salesy. I mean, it is salesy, but you don't want to come off that way. So the more that you post that is real to your life, the more relatable you're going to come off, and you're going to get clients because they're like, oh, well, I really liked that dish that she cooked. Like just little stuff like that.
Yeah, you're making Scott cry with your story. Uh,
Aw.
So, listen, I want to save time for a couple of the things you would do differently, but do you have one more thing? Let's give a third thing. So you've got your willingness to have the conversations, putting yourself out there, social media. How about a third thing that contributed to the success that you had in year one, doing already 19 transactions, and the year's not even over yet?
Not yet. I definitely a big, big one, especially being a first year, especially being young, even especially being a woman, is learning how to master and handle objections. I think that that's you're going to get a lot of them, especially in your first year. You are going to have constant people asking you, oh, well, how many deals have you done? And I'm a big hater of that question, big, big hater, because how am I going to get better if I can't do deals? But learning how to just talk to people and seem confident when you're doing it. You don't want to seem questionable. It needs to sound like you believe what you're saying. So I think a big thing with handling those objections is also practice, 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 practice. practice with your partner, practice with your team, practice in the mirror. But
Yeah.
you have to learn those objections because you're going to get a lot of them and it's going to put you on the spot and you're going to be anxious about it. But as long as you know what to say, a lot of times you can still turn that into a successful deal.
Yeah, it's interesting. You get those objections when you don't seem confident, but now I'm guessing that you've had so many conversations and handled the same objections so many times that you probably don't get those objections either at all or hardly at all.
Nope, I honestly can't tell you the last time someone asked me, how many deals have you done?
Right. Yeah. So it's about, even if you haven't done a bunch of deals, lean on the numbers of your team, your brokerage, lean on the fact that you have a support structure if you do, but certainly practice and confidence can help overcome those objections. I want to throw in a bonus one because I thought you might mention it, but one of the things
I
you
do
did,
so.
open houses.
Oh, I was actually going to say joining a team.
Oh, well, that's kind of self-serving, so everyone knows about the 21 Mike team, and that's very kind of you to say, but this is all about you. So yeah, certainly a team can help accelerate your growth. So I appreciate you mentioning that. But talk about the open houses because I tell agents to do what you did. And you're the first agent in many years who's actually taken the advice, and people just like they don't think that what I'm saying is true. Like, oh, Mike, why would I do that? That's crazy. So go ahead and talk about the open houses.
I, to this day, love doing open houses. I think that it is one of the easiest things that you can do for your business. And coming into real estate, I knew open houses were in my job description. So I think within the first week of joining the team, I had already had 3 open houses scheduled.
But Jordan, you didn't have listings. How on earth could you have open houses?
Reach out to agents. It's the same thing. Reach out to agents on your brokerage. You don't even have to reach out to agents in your brokerage. I've reached out to a lot of agents that aren't a part of Century 21, and you'd be surprised how many people, like Mike said, don't want to do open houses. In this year, I've probably done close to 40 open houses.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're an easy setup. I always bring some snacks, super easy, cheap things. You could grab a box of chips, a case of water, and always, always, always post about it on your social media.
That's right. That's right. You told me that now you have agents who get a listing and contact you because they don't feel the value, they're probably not doing them right, but they reach out to you and say, "Hey, Jordan, would you mind doing an open house here?" Because they want to show the seller that they're having the house open and maybe they don't have time, who knows, maybe they're out of town or maybe it's a listing that they don't want to hold open because they don't want the buyer leads, but you literally have agents contacting you now
Yeah.
within and outside of the brokerage saying, "Hey, do an open house for me if you would."
And that's one of those, if you host a good open house, as agents, we're always told to give feedback. So a lot of times that feedback does get back to the listing agent. I have a lot of repeat offenders that literally reach out to me to do open houses, and I love it. I love, love, love it. And they're also agents that, if I do get a lead from it or an offer from it, they're agents that I love working with as well. So
So but Mike, but Jordan, I don't have any listings. How on earth can I have open houses? Get over it. Go get
get
open
over
houses.
it.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears here. I asked you to think of a couple mistakes you made, maybe things you would do differently after, you're almost a year in. Lay a one or two of those on us. What would you do differently knowing what you know now?
So I would definitely, we've already touched on this a little bit, but I would definitely create a business plan first. That would be very, very like the day that you pass the exam, create a business plan. Even if you're still in a part-time job, create a plan around that schedule as well, because you're working a part-time job, you're going to come home, you're going to be tired. You have to start off holding yourself accountable. And one of the first ways to be able to do that is to have that plan written down. And then you're like, oh, well, I didn't do that today. I need to do better tomorrow. So definitely first thing is a business plan. I probably didn't write a business plan until 3 to 4 months in. But even saying 3 to 4 months in, I'm still in my 10 months. So you can still come back from that as well.
So it's interesting that you throw the A word out there, accountability, because I don't think a lot of people think of the business plan as an accountability tool, but it is, and I think tightly connected to the business plan is the time block. And I know every time I do a time block training, whenever I talk to agents about time blocking, it's not sexy, it's not exciting. And I think, I can't see them all the time because we're either on the phone or on a Zoom, but they roll their eyes at that. So in hindsight now, how important is it to block that time off so that you're doing activities when you plan to do them instead of just flitting around?
So I think that's important for two reasons. For one, if you have it on paper, you're more likely to do it. For two, I think that we can do a lot of one thing. We'll sit down, we'll write letters for 4 hours. You're going to get exhausted doing that stuff. Break your time up. Sit down and do letters for 1 or 2 hours, and then do calling for an hour, and then set up 3 or 4 hours for you to go out and do some door knocking. You have to divide up your time because you are going to get exhausted. You're going to overwork yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to batch the tasks, like you said, but I think it's a mistake. I know a guy, and I respect this guy a ton, Greg Harrelson down in South Carolina. He does 8 to 11 every day. That's his call time, but that's his main lead gen activity. So, whether it's calling, door knocking, open houses, you block that time off, rather than sitting down for 10 minutes and making calls and then doing a different activity. I think you get in a groove when you batch the activities, but also having it planned, having it on the calendar as an event and then protecting that time. You can't say, oh, well, I had that open house scheduled, but I'm going to cancel it because something better came up. No, that's an appointment on your calendar and you have to keep it. So, all right,
And
Jordan, well, we're running against the clock here, but I wanted to make sure. I know you took a bunch of notes and has had some things planned. So, any final thoughts you want to get out there into the real estate universe before we wrap up?
I think at the beginning, get your reps in. If you don't have clients or you don't have listings or buyers, sit down, find a listing on the MLS and write a mock-up offer. Keep doing that. You have to master your paperwork. And I
Mm.
think that that's a super easy thing that you can do at the beginning to kind of get into that groove. I also, on our last topic, I wanted to mention the creating routine. I think creating routine is extremely important, because one day you'll wake up and you'll just do it. And I think that's how a lot of jobs feel. And I think it can create comfortability for you at the end of the day as well. Also, at the end of the day, if you need help, reach out to people. There's tons and tons of agents in the industry that would love to help. Get a mentor. Um, Even if you're struggling, join a team. I think that's a great, I'm not just because the 21 mic team, but I think that that's a great resource for getting into training and starting to learn the lay of the land.
Yeah. And, I always tell agents that, look, a team is one option, but you can get a mentor, you can hire a coach. And many of the uh, big broker platforms have coaching available. And, we've talked about this many times. There's so much free content out there too. How many YouTube or whatever videos have you watched of all the different great coaches that are out there providing free content? It's,
I listen to podcasts.
yeah,
Podcasts were one of the things that made me pass my real estate exam.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, good stuff. I know I just gave you the chance to do final thoughts, but I want to keep on going here. This is such good stuff. And I think, those of you who are out there struggling, or if you're struggling or like a new agent, it is possible. I mean, look at Jordan, 23 years old. She just did the activities. Bottom line is you did the activities. You're such a coachable agent too, which was really helpful for me. Like I said, I give agents options of things they can do, and too often they do it for a minute and then they say, well, that didn't work. So sticking with it, I think, is the other thing that you've done. Consistently 40 open houses in probably 42 or 45 weeks. I mean, that's consistency right there. So final thoughts, Jordan.
Give yourself grace. Don't You can't get in your head. If you get in your head, I think you'll give up at the end of the day. So you have to give yourself grace, because this is the first time that you're doing it, and you're gonna make
Yeah.
mistakes, and that's okay, but just learn from them.
Such good advice. Yeah, we can't beat ourselves up. I often make the analogy, this is more, I feel like it's an analogy for the boys, but if you're a baseball fan, the closer in baseball, the closer comes out and has to save the game. And that one time they blow a save, they still have to come out the next day and pitch again and be there for their team. So, yeah, that's all great stuff. Yeah, I know Scott mentions, you get in there and you get your hands dirty and do what it takes. So thanks for being here, Jordan. This was good stuff. I
Thank you for
expect to
having,
see what's that?
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I fully expect to see some of these like great little snippets on your social media.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone can go follow me at Jordan Yates Realtor, and you'll see me later today.
Yep. So Akron, Canton area, and probably an hour radius. I know Jordan will say, "Oh, I'll go even further," but Akron, Canton, like that Northeast Ohio area. And Jordan, apart from following you, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So my phone number is 440-228-8653, and my email, which I answer everything. You could call me, text me, email me, Facebook Messenger me, but my email is jordan.yates.realtor@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Jordan. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
We'll talk soon. Thank you all.